How about refunds and credits and stuff like that?
Okay.
This was a question right here.
So refunds. Miss Kathleen comes in, and she just did not like that Blue Dream. She brought me back 2.67 grams of it. I make sure that I know exactly how much she's bringing back because that is what I'm going to record. So what I would like to do, can I move?
It's reusable. Did you know that? So pretend that she got something like a lighter or a shirt or something like. You might.
Okay, say for instance, our Atmos batteries for the rock.
Oh, totally.
We warranty them for a year. So we have people coming in if they break or something. Well, we'll take it back and give them a new one. Well, Melissa's never put it in the system. So we had 92 batteries we had to return to Atmos, but never got put in our system, so it was showing we're always negative.
Well, let's see. Let me add a.
You should switch out the battery, keep the battery, give them a new one, but then deduct it from the.
Totally. So what I would do is I'd start by creating an item called defective batteries. Plain and simple. Nice little area that you can now throw things into when they come back to you.
Now, what area are you putting that in?
That would be something that you'd create on your PO when you create all of your items tonight, your individual items. I'd throw defective and maybe even make it bold so you know that that's not something that you're selling out of. It's mostly for returns. So for example's sake, we're going to use the carrying case because it's already here. So we'll just pretend that it's called carrying case. So we're in our cart. We're not pretending. It actually is called carrying case. Search it. Okay, they're bringing me back one of these. So I'm going to advance add to cart, and I'm going to do a -1. They have now brought this back to me. But so that it doesn't mess up my line and try to subtract 40, I want to make sure that I'm setting this at a 0 cost because it's not costing anything. And if I leave it at a negative, it's going to put -40 on my invoice, and that's going to mess up my books. So it's got a 0 cost associated with it. It's a negative because we're putting it back into the system. On invoices, it's a positive when we're taking out, so it only makes sense the opposite. We add it to our cart, and now if you're giving a credit, I would think that you would need that. I mean, that's kind of a weird.
So it gets really funky. People are like, how do you do this and this? Think negative invoice, okay? So if somebody comes in and it literally, I bought a bottle, and I want to return the bottle, and I want my money back, it's a straight negative invoice. You don't change any price. You even let the tax refigure itself out through the negative so that it's a straight across wash, okay? I paid $20 plus tax or whatever, so I bring it back. I say -1 of these bottles, which virtually puts it back in the system, and then let it figure out the tax, and then you physically say, here's your money back, okay? And it's a negative invoice.
If we give it to them from the register, will that take it away from our account?
Okay.
That way we're not.
Okay, great. That actually deals with deposits, okay? So remember how invoices and the payments end up feeding deposits? Well, eventually, when you gather up all of your payments for the end of the day and you create your deposit, you need to grab up all your negative payments too. So if you send money out, it's all part of that deposit. So it actually flows through, okay?
See, we do that when we're using petty cash, and we'll fill out petty cash form and keep it in our register, and we'll put it out on the bottom.
Okay.
See where it balances out.
Okay. There's lots of different ways that you can do it, but literally it would be a simple example is boom, I bought it. It was $20 plus tax. Okay, I give you the money, $20 plus tax, and I walk out. Maybe it's a day or two later, and I come back. Okay, you've already deposited that money. That's gone. Okay, I come back and I say it doesn't seal. Okay, no problem. We'll return it. Do you want a refund? Do you want an exchange? Like you have to ask some questions. As soon as you start asking questions, start saying, okay, what's really going to happen? And you're going to have to play accordingly. If we're just going to swap it out, oh, no problem. I'll get you another one of these. I'll return the one that you got, and then I'm going to give you a new one, and then you're going to pay the difference. So that's an exchange versus a credit.
What I've been doing is I'll ring them up like they're buying the battery, but I won't charge them. And then on the description, I will put return battery with that.
Okay.
And it'll be on zero sale.
Correct. So you.
Well, I would think that would pull from your inventory that's already pre-existing.
Well, we need to pull from it. They're returning a battery, and giving them a new one.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So what you would do is simply a negative and a positive. So once you have what he was talking about for the return is just doing a -1 and allowing it to do this, and it'll be in parentheses to show you that it's a negative. But if it's just an exchange, I would literally have a separate item, same item, but one's defective. Then you do your negative out of the item that you're doing defective, and your positive out of your original item that you are now giving to your client to replace the defective. So that's where you get into the zero price, because it is just simply a, here you go. Now, if it is a return, it's just simply a -1, whatever the item is.
So say for instance there was a carrying case. Can you do carrying case again? So watch this. Why don't you go -1, hit add, okay? And then if you wanted to, you could even scroll down. So that's the -1 coming in. Now sell another one for positive. Like say you're gonna, this is gonna help.
Do that on the same invoice?
Oh, absolutely, no problem.
Yep, because that invoice is going to show you with who and where and what, and you can even add a why. There's a notes section. So now we're doing the positive, and it shows me that
So it
it's
comes back to total of 0, okay?
Oh, okay.
And then if you want on the notes or even on the individual line item on the top one where it's the -1 back in, hey, it didn't seal, like, you can actually add notes right to that invoice.
all right. Checking out, and it's just a normal checkout like normal, and create invoice.
$0 cash, let it flow.
Bam. And that's an exchange.
And then if you're gonna send back to the vendor that you bought it from, you have to do another invoice to take all those negative ones out, right?
Correct, depending on how you're totally doing all your system as far as that kind of goes. But it gets pretty interesting when you start getting into credits and try to track the story. Think through like what's happening, what's really happening. See if you can make the system record that. That's what I would
See, and
recommend.
then what I did is one of our people comes in from Pueblo and buys stuff from us. Well, we give it to them at resale,
Sure.
because they're a business. Well, I ended up charging them tax one day.
Okay.
So I owed him a $56 credit.
Uh-huh.
So I need to know how to go in there and put it in there. He gets a $56 credit next time he comes in and buys supplies.
Okay. So that's where you would actually go to his customer log and kind of enter that piece in there as far as how that goes. But
The bill too.
it gets kind of interesting basically as far as how that goes and how things.
So would you put that balance on account then instead of, because it just said at the bottom that he still owes
$56. We were trying to figure out how to put a credit in his name, and it kept showing that he owed us 56.
So you would just change it to a -56 and all of a sudden it would say, hey, we owe him $56. Just, it's okay. There's lots of different ways you can edit it, but sometimes you literally get in there and play. Like she said that she clicked every button in MITS to kind of figure it out. You might end up clicking every button in Atlas to try to figure it out. Okay?
That's how you become a pro.
It doesn't blow up on you. Like if you mess it up, oh, crap, I'm going to go fix it again. Like, the only thing that it does behind the scenes that you may not even know about is it records a thing called system history. Who touched this thing? Oh, who touched it again? Who touched it again?
Well, that's how people know when you're going to get yelled at because they can know who did it.
I know. There's a pro and a con to that, but it's more helpful than it is hurtful.
Okay, and then the other one is when I make that mistake and created an invoice,
Mhm.
I went back because he added one more thing. So when we went to do the cash register at the end of the day, we removed it, but it didn't remove the money from it, so it still showed that I was $48 short.
So that's because your invoice was already created. So what you have to do in order to fix something, so say this invoice, it was wrong and they didn't actually want to exchange it, they wanted to buy a new one. So we've now taken their bag from them and they're very upset. And so what we'd have to do is we would go into edit line items, and then in the main information up here, you go to duplicate invoice to cart. And I'm going to control click so that we can flip back and forth. Now, what I've done is I have put this information back into a cart. It is now officially an open invoice. So if I need to, I can remove, okay, here's your bag back, sorry lady, nice pictures, and then we can finish it out. But what I want to do before I close this out is make sure that this date is the date the transaction transpired. Because if I create this, it's going to be submitted in today's sales as opposed to when it was created on the 24th or whatever day. So I need to make sure that I'm adjusting. Say that that sale transpired on the 24th on the original invoice, I now have to fix it. I'm then going to put my notes, love the handle, my bad. So now we're going to check out. Everything should be exactly as normal and it's exactly as before except for the fact that we have given them her bag back. We create the invoice, and that invoice is now created. So now what we want to do is go back to the original and make sure that we void it because it is no longer a valid invoice. So we've corrected the problems. We made sure it was the right reason. Accidentally took bag. Bam. Now that's done. So basically what you're doing is you just duplicate the PO, or the invoice, because when you do go in and edit, it's already has that information, and that's what it's locked in. That's what the payment was locked in as, the invoice items. Even if you remove the items, the payment was never edited. It was the exact same way.
Okay, so what you just did, it said that you said it went back to the 24th and actually collected $40, but you collected it today instead.
You would collect it and replace it. You'd have to put it back with your invoice. That was just a really weird circumstance. Normally people wouldn't do an exchange and then you come back and give them money. That was a bad example. That was just the invoice we were working on. That was just for example's sake of what to do if there was something wrong on the invoice, like say you forgot to add an item.
Okay.
You just duplicate it, add the item, put Y.
Okay, but and then so if it was an actual, let's say you wanted to go back and exchange, or you went back to that invoice on the 24th and you wanted to do something new, like they still had that one handle, carrying case back there with the handle. She comes back, I want it, or she wants it back. You go back into the, isn't your money for today going to be off then?
Yes and no. That would be a completely new invoice. If they came back and was like, hey, I want the bag back, you'd then just create the invoice for that day
Again.
and sell it back to them. Yep. And I'm sorry, that was a really poor example and I didn't
Okay.
take it into
Can I show
consideration.
you guys something that some people don't know how to do? I'll just kind of show you.
And by some people, he means Kate.
No. So let's pretend that we have, I'm going to sell another carrying case. I'm going to close the cart and the person will go, oh my goodness, I forgot, I need 3 lighters too. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to create a new invoice,
Yeah.
okay? So I'll show you how to, is this sort of a scenario that you were thinking? Or
What happened is, I got him down to where, I guess I must have hit create invoice, because when you get done,
yeah.
well, then he decided he wanted some blunt wraps. So I hit the back button thinking, well, you know, and then I'm sitting there thinking, well,
Oh.
I'll just add this on. Well, what it did is it created the invoice for what he did, and then I had to redo it to get everything on there.
Oh.
And so I had 2 invoices for him, but the bottom one was not good.
And you could have
So
gone,
I,
went back and voided it, right?
Yeah, so you go back and you avoid the original and make sure you're avoiding the
okay,
proper
we
one.
did avoid it and remove it, but it didn't remove the $48. So at the end of the day, my till was off $48.
Oh, interesting.
Should have, right?
Awesome.
And
You
once
can- you can-
void it, you can't do that.
You can void things, it's not a problem. But what I actually wanted to show you is how you modify things after the fact, okay? The shopping cart, what it does,
Well, wait, before you move
Yes, yes.
forward, she's saying that it was still messing up her numbers, that the $48, even though the invoice had been voided, it was still showing up at her sales at the end of the night.
That I sold $48 more, which I didn't because it was a mistake.
okay, and we would have to just kind of actually look at that and see what was actually going on that type. As soon as you hit void, what it does is it basically says, okay, 0, don't return all that stuff, return the money, pretend like it never happened. It virtually should go to 000 across the boards. That's the theory, okay, for a void. If something's wrong and you created the invoice and you were in a hurry and you just checked out and you're like, oh, no, I have to do this other, and you still wanted it to include it on the same deal, I can show you how to do that after the fact. Basically, this is what I wanted to show you is how to modify an invoice after the fact. Because as soon as it leaves cart mode, it's real flexy in cart mode. Like it'll just stay there and stay there. But once you leave that, then you're like, oh no. And instead of hitting void and then rebuilding the whole thing, I'm going to show you how to modify it after the fact, okay? We're going to do this. We're going to put a carrying case on there, and we're going to basically just kind of slam through the checkout process, and then the person's going to be like, oh yeah, can I get this? And say I actually hadn't really collected the money yet. And I was like, okay, that's going to be the scenario right here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to go up here, and I'm just going to quickly grab our carrying case, CAR. We'll come down, and carrying case right here. We'll just add one to cart. Boom. Add it. And I'm just going to do a quick counter sale just to kind of show you that we don't even have to assign the patient. Boom, it's in here for 40 bucks plus tax, $43, okay? Say I'm in a hurry and I hit checkout, and did they actually pay for this, or?
No, they didn't pay for it.
But somehow we kind of like, bam, we just clicked it fast or something, okay? We kind of were like,
actually did pay, but what happened was we didn't remove the tax. She removed the tax because he's like a wholesaler, and we take the tax off, or do a resale, and he kind of takes the tax off. And that's what the problem is. We
okay,
didn't remove the tax, so we owed him that money back.
okay, that's a slightly different scenario, but it's actually the exact same thing.
Oh, and what did it?
Okay, so what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to say, hey, pretend that they either paid for the whole thing or whatever. Like, basically, somebody just kind of got going fast, okay? Like, the whole transaction didn't really happen. So I'm going to say, create the invoice. It literally left cart mode. It currently is saying $40, one item of the carrying case, and they still owe me some money. Like, don't worry about what they owe you right now. I just want to show you that, like, oh no, now they want some lighters, okay? Watch this. The same invoice is $14.19. If I hit view and I go into edit line items, I technically can actually add a brand new item right here after the fact. L-I-G-H-T, go get it. Here's my lighters. I've got 75 of them on hand. It's $5 a piece. Add it as a line item. How many of these do they want?
2.
2. You go boom, 2. You come down, just check, check, check. It's going to be taxable. Add it as a line item. So after the fact, here's their $40. Here's their new 2 lighters.
So I would go
Here's the main difference.
go to view.
What's that?
Receipt page. We don't
Okay,
create
we're
it.
currently on the physical invoice right here.
Okay.
Watch this. Just like in POs, look at it starting to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Guess what? I'm kind of off a little bit here. So you would actually just modify this to go like this. Edit main. And guess what? My main is no longer 43 like it originally was. It's now 54. Okay? 5405. And edit. So now at this point, the entire invoice now says, I'm $54. This was added in the shopping cart mode, and later on I added this in invoice mode. And then depending on what your payments are, you have the different pieces. But all of the pieces are here depending on what's actually
Can you go back into that carrying case and let's just remove the tax, like their example?
okay, cool. So, oh my goodness,
That was supposed to be taxed.
that wasn't supposed to be taxed. Watch what's going to end up happening. See how we're at $54 on the main? As soon as we start taking off all of these taxes, so it's going to be 40 and 10, so we're going to get it right down to 50 bucks. I'm going to owe them $4. Here's what's going to end up happening. If I'm in the edit line item mode, I come down here, edit, and I come down. Basically, this is the same page that I was just on. It just kind of populated the form beneath this, okay? I come down here and I say, guess what? You are not taxable. You were resale, okay? Don't even worry about any of these other values as long as this little checkbox is selected. This will actually redo the whole thing, and I'll say edit that line item. So watch this. We're already off a little bit, okay? So watch this. The extended is clear down to 40 with 0 tax showing. And I would do the exact same thing on this guy. Take it, flip it, resale. Edit the line item. So watch this. It's saying that I should be 50 bucks, okay, because it now has tax category of resale. However, the main still has the bad date, the bad thing recorded. All I need to do is go like this, edit main, and I flip it to 50 instead of 54. So I go right here. Here's what the sum of the line items is, and I just go 50.
You
50,
can leave it
edit.
unhappy until you pay him that 405, and that it will pop up as an unhappy line item when you go to your PO homepage. So that's one way that you can see, oh, this vendor I owe money, and it'll tell you right there. This is how much it was, this is how much it is, the difference is what you owe. And then change it when you make it happy again. Then change it to 50.
Correct. And so it could even be something like this. Like I just had this on account just for fun right now. But say they originally paid $54.
Panda sales.
Sweet. It's an antivirus. Good stuff. That's called push technology. That kind of pushes it out in front of you there. So I'm going to go right here. Say originally it was $50.04. I can't remember exactly. And say they actually paid cash. Okay. Edit this payment. So say they did this whole thing. It's now technically we owe them $4.04. In order to record that, here's what I would recommend that you do. Okay. I currently don't have this assigned to a customer, but technically that -4 would be showing in their customer record, hey, we owe this person a certain amount of money. I didn't assign a customer, so it's going to be just in this general
Okay, so
good luck collecting that.
next time he comes in and I go pull up his, he's like, say, caregivers, okay?
Mhm.
And I pull him up, and it should pop up, we owe him $56, right? If we do it that way?
Okay, correct. It'll actually prompt you in the shopping cart. It'll say, hey, here's how much he owes, and it happens to be negative type thing, okay? It does not automatically apply itself to be the thing. What I was going to show you right here is how to fix this. Is I was actually going to add another little payment for -404, okay? So I was going to go right here, amount owed, -404. So literally, -4.04, and I'm going to pay him cash back or whatever, okay? Click, add that payment. So what happens is I've got 2 line items. One was created in the shopping cart, one was after the fact. Then we flipped the tax category, which ended up changing our money that was owed back to them. And now I have 2 payments. I've got an original 54 coming in, and then a negative, I paid him back $4 and some odd cents. Kind of just telling the story is what happened. When it gets into credits and refunds, each one is its own little scenario. Like there's not really a blanket system.
And you're done. It's already
I'm done.
Your deposit's updated.
So my deposit has not been created yet. These little guys are actually sitting in a little pool saying, man, at some point I imagine you're going to do a deposit. But they're all just kind of sitting out there ready to be deposited. Good call. Good call. Awesome. Now, just so you know, you can edit after the fact, okay, on an invoice.
Okay.
You don't have to void it out.
Okay.
Cool. That's great. Any other questions on credits or refunds or anything like that? Yes?
Discounts, like let's say we have like senior Saturdays or it's something on a full order.
Okay.
Is there a way to do that?
Yep.
Instead of like item by item, but not the entire.
Okay. Awesome. So there are 3 ways to apply discounts, alrighty? Let's build a cart. Let's, just for fun, why don't we actually duplicate this cart just so we have something to play with, okay? So I'm going to go right here. I'm currently on the invoice, and I'm going to say duplicate it to cart. You can get it from the printable or from the edit line items, but I'm going to basically say put it back into the cart so I can play with it, okay? So currently we're at $50. It's resale and stuff like this. Now if I wanted to apply, here's the different ways you can do it. Line by line, I would click here, edit, and watch this. Say I was going to give a 10% discount on this particular line item and hit update. I'm just going to show you and then I'm going to kind of back it out, okay? So watch this, 10% discount on the carrying case. That's line by line. I'm going to kill that for just a second. Update the cart. So now I'm right back to normal. Cart as a whole goes like this. As soon as you get at least one line item in, there's a new little link that shows up at the very top. It says profit and discount calculator, cart as a whole. Okay? If I click this guy, all of a sudden it's going to pull it in and say, hey, I'm dealing with $50 and currently my cost is $25. Would you like to calculate a discount on this whole thing? Yes, let's do it. 10%, calculate that discount. Okay, it looks like you're going to get about $5 off, okay? And it's going to say 10% discount. And if you needed to, you could even say senior, whatever, okay? You add this to the cart. What this does is it basically, it did the entire discount instead of just a single line item. But whatever's in your cart, it'll actually calculate that discount. That's this cart as a whole. The other way that you can do it is literally what we call a manual thing, and you would say add item, and you would come down to the special and you'd say something like this. Let's go -1 at, I'm going to give you 10, let's go $12.50 off, okay? And you'd say discount and any sort of description and say add it to the cart. This is manually just plopping it in, pull $12.50 off, okay? That's a manual thing. You can do it line by line, manual, or cart as a whole if you use this little feature up at the top. You can apply that.
Can you make a percentage discount button?
We've had that request, and we've actually promised it in the by mid-February, so not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but
But that's good to know that that's in the working, so then eventually you'd be able to just create a button, so it'd be quick. But still in the process. That's brilliant.
correct. So there's somebody who's already requested that, and then we basically they're gonna. Here's how it kind of works with some of the requests. If you have an idea, throw it at us. Like it's nothing. We will record it and we'll try to get to it as soon as we can. If it's urgent and you need it, what we do is we basically bid it out and say, oh, that's going to be $100, or that's going to be. They're teeny little fees, and then what you do is like, sweet, I'll pay $100 for that, and then we throw it into the queue, and then we end up using it for everybody else. That's how. It's not actually a special button we're going to create specifically for Eric. Type thing, okay? It's it goes into the general tool shed. So great. That's a good call on discounts there. Any questions on that? Cart as a whole is pretty easy. You just have to use this little calculator, click, and then you can do whatever you want. Kind of makes it easy. Any other questions on that?